In the heart of Chipping in Lancashire stands the Sun Inn, a 17th century pub with a chilling secret. In 1835, Lizzie Dean, a young scullery maid, took her own life in the inn's attic after a heartbreaking betrayal. Her final wish was to be buried at the entrance of St Bartholomew's Church next door to the inn, ensuring that her unfaithful lover would pass her grave each time he attended the service, and to this day, patrons and staff report sightings of Lizzie's ghost. Her presence is still felt throughout the inn. Lizzie Dean was just a young scullery maid, full of hopes and dreams. Her life took a tragic turn when love and loyalty were replaced by deceit. Consumed by despair, Lizzie climbed to the attic of the Sun Inn and made a devastating choice. But her story did not end there, for Lizzie's restless spirit is said to linger, and those who visit the Sun Inn may find themselves in the company of a ghost whose sorrow just refuses to fade. In the heart of Chipping in Lancashire, surrounded by the rolling hills and timeless charm, stands the Sun Inn. On the outside, it's a place that looks just like any other old pub of its era, charming and warm and inviting, and it's full of wooden beams and centuries of history just whispering through its walls. But there is a story here, a dark tale that has lingered for nearly 2 centuries, wrapped in sorrow and betrayal and undying love. This is the story of Lizzie Dean. In 1835, Elizabeth Dean, also known locally as Lizzie, was a young, bright-eyed scullery maid at the Sun Inn. Just 20 years old, she worked hard, living a humble life, until one fateful day she crossed paths with James Freeman, a member of the local gentry, well known for his charm and his good looks. Lizzie was taken with him immediately, and the two began a passionate whirlwind romance. But most importantly, this romance was a secret, but their love grew quickly. James promised her the world, and Lizzie, innocent in her affection, believed every word he said. Lizzie watched as one young village girl after another found love and got married in the church opposite the inn where she worked, and she hoped desperately that one day she too would stand at that altar with a man she loved, and the man she loved had promised her this on many occasions. One November morning, Lizzie heard the wedding church bells ringing, and she rushed to the window to watch the lucky bride and groom leaving the church together. While she was watching from her attic window, she witnessed a terrible scene. One half of the happy couple emerging from the church was her secret lover. The betrayal struck Lizzie like a sharp, stinging slap in the face. She was crushed, devastated, and her world completely fell apart. Lizzie went up to the attic of the Sun Inn, a quiet and isolated place where she could finally escape the world around her, the world that had broken her heart. And alone she wrote a final note. It was a letter, but it wasn't filled with anger or hatred. It was just a tragic expression of her love and a final wish born from the pain of betrayal. Her note read, "I wish to be buried at the entrance to St Bartholomew's Church, so my lover will have to walk past my grave every time he goes to church." And with that, Lizzie took her own life. She tied a rope around her neck, secured it to the rafter, and kicked the chair beneath her feet, while shouting, "I curse you, by all the things good and true, your offspring mute and their children too," as she ended it all in the stillness of the attic. Her death was a blow to the village, and yet in death Lizzie's wish was still honoured. She was buried near the entrance of St Bartholomew's Church, under the shade of a giant yew tree, just as she had asked. There her grave became a silent, haunting reminder of the love that had gone so tragically wrong. Local legend says that the curse of Lizzie came true, and that the descendants of the bride were born mute, as were their children. But even in death, Lizzie's pain didn't vanish. Her spirit, broken and lost, is still said to linger. Over the years, there have been countless reports of strange occurrences happening at the Sun Inn. Patrons have spoken of feeling a eerie chill in the air, of hearing unexplained sounds, and of witnessing objects move by themselves. Others swear that they can feel her presence and the sense of sorrow that fills the room. In June 1999, a man from Edinburgh was having a quiet pint in the pub when he saw a very colourful figure with brown hair in ringlets and a dress that looked like it had been in a washing machine quite a lot of times. The girl ignored him as if he wasn't there. Even when he called out to her, she just floated through and went through into the snug bar. Another sighting, documented by a local historian, recounted an incident where Lizzie was seen drifting from the stairs leading to her bedroom across where some lads were playing snooker, and apparently everybody felt her presence and cleared the room pretty quickly. Many believe these sightings are Lizzie, still unable to rest, trapped by the heartbreak of her past. Her tragic story is woven into the very fabric of the pub, the Sun Inn, and the place where her life was shattered and where her spirit just can't let go. Today, the Sun Inn still stands, a monument not only to history but to Lizzie's undying heartache. And whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is no denying that the Sun Inn holds a secret, one that has been passed down through the generations, a story of a woman betrayed by love and the spirit that just refuses to fade away. Some say that Lizzie's restless spirit will never leave the Sun Inn, and every so often you might feel her presence yourself. She's always there, watching, waiting, forever caught in the tragedy of her unfulfilled love and her final heartbreaking wish. And finally, it's also worth considering the possibility that Lizzie's stories has endured for so long because it speaks to a universal human experience, the pain of unrequited love, the devastation of betrayal, and the lasting impact of loss. Whether or not Lizzie's ghost walks the halls of the Sun Inn, the emotional weight of her story is enough to capture the hearts of everyone who hears it. As we've delved into the haunting story of Lizzie Dean, it's hard not to be moved by the tragic events that happened at the Sun Inn. The heartbreaking story of love and betrayal and Lizzie's tragic end all seem like the perfect ingredients for a ghostly legend. But the question remains, is this story real? And if it is, can we find proof to support the claims of a haunting that lasted for nearly 2 centuries? The story of Lizzie Dean is most likely a blend of historical fact and folklore. There's little doubt that a young woman named Lizzie Dean lived in Chipping during the 1830s and that she worked at the Sun Inn. The church records also mention a burial at St Bartholomew's Church around the time of Lizzie's death. And there are accounts of a young woman who tragically took her own life after a broken engagement. However, many of the more supernatural aspects of the tale, such as Lizzie's haunting presence at the Sun Inn, still remain shrouded in mystery. Local historians and residents of Chipping have kept Lizzie's story alive, passing it down through generations. But there's no concrete evidence to fully confirm every detail of the story. The records don't specify that Lizzie actually had a lover. That may have been altered or added over time to make the tale a bit more exciting. The details of her final note and her wish to be buried near the church entrance also come from local folklore rather than a documented fact. So while the core of Lizzie's story is likely based on true events, some parts might have been maybe a little bit romanticised or exaggerated over the time to tell a great story. The haunting at the Sun Inn likewise could be part of the myth that grew around Lizzie's tragic death. But whether this tragic tale is entirely true or simply a story passed down through generations, one thing is certain: it has left a mark on the village of Chipping and the Sun Inn itself. The emotional weight of her heartbreak and the mystery of her untimely death and the haunting echoes of her story continue to capture the imaginations of anyone who visits. And whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Lizzie's legacy is a reminder of the powerful emotions that can shape our lives and sometimes even our afterlives. As we come to the end of this episode, I invite you to consider this. Is it possible that some stories are more than just tales? Could the emotions of the past truly leave a mark so deep that they echo through time? Or is the legend of Lizzie Dean just another chapter in the vast and mysterious history of the unexplained? Feel free to share your thoughts and your comments below. Thank you for joining me in the sad story of Lizzie Dean, and if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more stories, and share this episode with anyone who might love a good folklore tale. Until next time, stay curious and perhaps a little cautious.